those of you who aren't sure where my allegiances lie, it's always the Broncos. And it's football season, which is also whiskey season, in my opinion. Every football game needs to have a little whiskey. It's absolutely wonderful. So this is a special edition of Whiskey Wednesday for me personally. One, the Broncos are ramping up. It's time, baby. Orange Crush, let's do it. And then also one of my favorite people to watch the football games with and go to the games with was a good buddy of mine who sadly passed named Gabe. And Gabe's favorite drink was George Dickel. So I recently ran across the 15-year George Dickel, and I absolutely had to get some. So this stuff is a little bit harder to find and get, and when I saw it on the shelves at Total Wine, I said, you and I are now friends, you're coming home with me. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, George Dickel, it's one of the older whiskeys and bourbons out there. They actually started in the late 1800s by George Dickel. And George really wanted to have a smooth whiskey. In fact, he didn't want to distill in the summers because he felt the winter months actually switch that. He did it in the summers because he felt the winter months wasn't really great for the whiskey, and it produced whiskey that he didn't like. And so he only did it half the year. A lot like Pappy. I mean, Pappy's still kind of in their recipes and it's been sold, but they're still only allowed to barrel certain times of the year because they feel like it affects taste. So big purists. Throughout Prohibition, although they were supposed to be shut down, they're actually allowed to make medical grade whiskey, which is probably a lot like medical grade pot now that we have something to compare it to, and survive a little bit through Prohibition. They did getting shut down, reopened in like the late 50s, and have just been as true as they can to the old Dickel recipes. So let's try a little 15-year single barrel George Dickel. Now, for those of you who don't know what single barrel means, in essence, when you drink a bottle of, like, let's say Jack Daniel's No. 7, right? What they do is they actually mix a bunch of the different barrels and stuff together so that they could create the most consistent taste possible, right? So that way, kind of every time you open an old Jack No. 7, you know exactly what it's going to taste like, and you're going to get that, right? With a single barrel, they don't mix them, right? They pull it just from one barrel, and so the barrels will all have different flavors, little different notes, and each one of these bottles should taste a little bit different than another bottle unless they happen to come from the same barrel. But they try to distribute those so it's not very common, right? Because it's kind of neat to get, something that isn't mixed, something that is just kind of the purest thing you could get. Also, the older the bottle, of course, it's aged more, but what that means is typically every year in a whiskey barrel, right, a little bit of the whiskey dissipates, right? That's where you get like the Devil's Cut and the Angel Share, that sort of thing. That's just the whiskey, being evaporated out and mixing in. And so typically the older the bottle and the older the barreling, the less whiskey there was. And so to get single barrel that's a older model, and model's not correct, but to get a single barrel that is also older just really, really shows you the taste of it, right? It's not mixed with anything. So let's try a little George Dickel 15-year. Oh, that's delicious. You have a bunch of spice in the middle. So it starts off almost almondy, and then it goes to like almond, flows into a little bit of hazelnut, and then vanilla, and then kind of just really plays with those, and then kind of rounds out at the edge. What's the end? I think the end, it just kind of finishes as if you combined all those flavors, blanketed it with vanilla, and just kind of let that coast all the way through the sip. This is a bourbon you should absolutely experience. Like this Dickel 15-year is really, really fantastic. So, here's to the Broncos. My prediction, we're going to the Super Bowl. Sorry for the rest of you teams out there that wanted to be there. It's going to be us this year. And here's to Gabe.